Looks like we on. Most High, you want to say it. Call for all Yahawah, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Rukapatash, which means all praises to Yahawah, Bashem, Yahushai, in the name of the Son, Yahushai. All right, this is your brother, Obadiah, Yahukanan, and we're coming to you this morning. Tried to get it in last night, but Royal Copper Dish obviously was working me and said, no, not right now. You're going to have to wait and get some more things done before you can get it in. So we're here this morning to get it in for the Most High. I want to say, first and foremost, infinite honors and praise to Yahawah, Hashem Yahushai, Father Yahawah. We want to say salutations to the hopeful elect. We want to also say salutation and our utmost respect and utmost admiration to the apostles who've been bringing out the truth for decades. And as I said before, you know, the accuracy is only with one organization that the World Call Qadish to Yahawah Hashem Yahushai has blessed, and that's with GMS. Everybody's got their flaws, everybody's got their issues. None of us have what I would consider to be a chariot ride acceptability yet, but we're working on it. All praises, Lord willing, right? All praises to Yahawah Hashem Yahushai. But you know, we've been going through a lot in terms of no, more than a lot. We've been going through beyond what is called a lot in reference to where we are at this particular time period in prophecy. And one of the things that the Spirit brought to my attention as an individual that the Most High, and I feel so blessed and humble that He would allow me to even be here to witness this unbelievable, just monumental, unbelievable spiritual capacity of salvation, this method of prophetic salvation that's being brought forward for those of the elect that are selected, you know, before the foundation of the world, of course, you know. And so in knowing that that is the case and understanding it at this level of the awakening, all of what we're going through from what I've been given to understand, and you know, taking in consideration that we all are, who are the elect, we all are of the body of Hamashiach in terms of what parts of us that we have to perform in order to operate within the prophecy that Yahawah the Father has set forth through His Son, who is the heir of all things in the book of John. You know, before you can speak to that and go into detail about it, he's been put heir of all things. And through Hamashiach, we get to the Father because the Father sent us to Hamashiach and He kept us in His name. That's why the name is so very important, and you cannot go past that. See, these are things that are of what this message is coming in today to speak of. The lesson and the title for the lesson is "The Spirit of Prophecy is Your Test." This is what the Most High Yahawah Hashem Yahushai gave me to teach as an observer for Him, which is, I believe, my part of the body of Hamashiach that I'm supposed to fulfill, which is my lot. The spirit of prophecy is your test. And we're going to go through as much as we can to get through this. I've got several scriptures I got down on my notes here, you know, directly out of the Bible, out of the Torah, Pentateuch, Book of Remembrance, whichever you understand as being your level of knowledge given by the Royal Call Edition and the Most High, Yahawah Hashem Yahushai. This is so important because this commentary, I'm going to have to try to get it in if the Spirit sends it through me right. I want to make sure I get it right. And I feel like I do have it right because the Spirit has been pushing it on me for a little bit now, so I'm getting it out to you. From the beginning of the time when YAHAWAH and the angels were charged with by Yahweh to orchestrate the process of creation of all things, the testing phase started beyond and way back once YAHAWAH was created. Let me explain from what I understand. Yahweh, the Father, created YAHAWAH. The first that he did, I don't like to say thing, but the first to get shalaki, the first that he did of his love that took from himself more than what we can imagine, a gift that can never be acquainted upon, is YAHAWAH. And then in turn took that gift and gave that gift as a sacrifice. that alone could close the book on this whole situation, just saying that in itself. Okay, but let's get right there. I'm not going to digress, go back. All right, so during that time, once YAHAWAH was created and then the angels were created as well, once the creation process had been completed at a point of it has been brought into existence, the test started with all of the Most High's creation. The Most High tests all his creation, everything that he has created that is in a continual, perennial creation process that keeps bringing back. So we have no idea the magnitude of his creation and beyond what we live and understand here from the metabolism that we have, that he's given us to understand. Just like in John chapter 5, 39, YAHAWAH told you, no one has heard the Father's voice or seen his shape, which means he'll give a theopolyptic type view to your mind to get you to try to understand what you think he looks like. And even in what he's done to giving us that unction of understanding in the metabolism that we have, we know that all have been created for the purpose that they have to fulfill. You have servants and then you have friends. The servants are the ones that could be considered the rest of the nations and those individuals who are going to perform a specific process that they were created for. Okay, Esau, Edom, the Hamites, the Moabites, the Ammonites, I mean, down the list, you can go down. They're all the servants of Yahweh. Now, the servants have a role, but they don't know what the master is going to do in terms of how it works out. Because you notice they can't understand what's going on from a spiritual perspective. They speak in carnality, and their carnality is the only level of metabolism that they have been developed to understand, if you see what I mean. In other words, they have not been developed past the point of the carnality that they've tried to paint with some kind of spirituality, which is usually from the left-hand side, because the Most High controls absolutely everything. You've got to make sure you understand this. Everything that's going on, the Most High controls it. So when we speak of how the Satan or the devil or the wicked or the evil or whomever are doing the things that they're doing, it's still controlled by the Most High, YAHAWAH. He's controlling both sides. This is the lot. This is what they've been given. This is the directive that they've been put inside. You cannot go past the sovereignty of the directives of YAHAWAH. You're going to fulfill those roles. And within the realm of fulfilling those roles, you have been created to do that. Now, this brings me closer into my lesson about the spirit of prophecy is your test. The Most High YAHAWAH, he tests us in every capacity and always in all kinds of ways. And we have to understand that, because if we don't, then we lose focus on what our faith is supposed to mean, because that gift that YAHAWAH is beyond what we deserve. So we have to understand this is what we're dealing with. Okay. And so in light of understanding what we're talking about, the testing has started at that point. So now we have not been very successful in passing the test as chosen people of the Most High YAHAWAH. Yes, he has been aiding us in ways that we should, but he's expecting more from us based on the creation and the responsibility he put in us as a chosen people. And quite frankly, we failed. many times. Okay, give you a case in point example. There's 7 different captivities that we've been involved in, and we're still involved in the last one, which is a big test. Okay, I want to show you something that, and maybe it'll come up pretty good on the camera, but take a look at this. All right, can you see that? Hopefully you can see that really good. Okay, all right. One of my Hebrew Israelite Aquarian friends sent me this, and I wanted to present it in this lesson as well. It talks about, okay, first the Egyptian captivity. Now I'm not going to go with the circa dates and chronology completely because it's not necessary to do that. If you want to read about it, you can go to Leviticus chapter 26, 46, and it'll break down all this in more detail. But okay, let me explain. Let me get my glasses on, shall I? Okay. In the test that we're dealing with, the first test, Egypt captivity around 1500 BC. That's our first test, okay? We failed that test. Okay, well, how did we fail? Well, we got into slavery and the captivity, and then number one, and also the fact that, what did we learn? Did we learn not to go back into captivity again? Did we learn not to embrace their wickedness, their idols, and their false doctrines? No, we didn't, because we blew that in the garden. Because, that was like the pre-test before the test where, we failed. Wickedness was in the garden, and because wickedness was there, Eve was subject to it, and in turn, she fell counter to it, and she became a victim of it, and then in turn brought the victimization of it to the one she loved and the one who loved her, and then of course we fall as a whole people. Okay, as a nation, we fall all together, all of us. So, because a lot of the Akim and the brethren speak about the fact that Eve, through the woman, wickedness was brought into the world. I'm not saying that that's not part of the process that happened, but let me take you to where YAHAWAH Shem Yahweh Shai brought to the observer in myself and said to me, and he said, okay, Obadiah, check this out. If something is there that is sin or that is wicked, if it's already there, okay, and then you go upon it or you find a way to become attached to it or subjected to it, did you start it, or was it there for you to get beguiled by? Because this is what happened. It had to have been in the midst of the garden, which the Bible speaks of. Don't go to those trees or those entities in the midst of the garden, because obviously they had the wickedness on them already brought out in that way. So therefore, when she got away from her husband, Adam, what was he doing? He should have been on point anyway, watching her. I'm not correcting or saying anything about what YAHAWAH Shem Yahweh Shai decided to perform in his prophecies. That's what he decided to perform. We are his creation, and we have to operate under the guides and the auspice of what our omnipotent, most high YAHAWAH Shem Yahweh Shai is put in place. So that's all we can do. So I'm just saying, I used to tell my daughters all the time, my children, if you have some, as an analogy, if you have some oil or some real nasty, sticky, toxic oil on the ground, okay, and you come upon it, okay, and you look at it, and let's just say you slip and fall in it, and you get it all over you, okay, now you have it on you, and sticky, nasty oil is very hard to clean off. It doesn't come off real easy. Even when you're working, most men know that if you get any kind of oil on you, it just takes a special kind of soap or cleansing unit or cleansing property to get it off of you. So I liken this unto the situation where if a man or a woman, or even in the garden, comes upon the wickedness and you get involved in it, you go to it and you get involved in it. It was there already, so therefore, in order for you to get involved in it, it had to be something that you come upon. You didn't go into the garden and bring the evil with you. The evil was there already in those individuals and those nations that were contrary to YAHAWAH Shem Yahweh Shai. And when she come upon them, she got beguiled by something that was there. So yes, she shouldn't have done that prior to that, but we can't explain why that happened exactly, because only YAHAWAH can explain that. But we're saying that the wickedness was there. Now, you can choose to get involved with that if the Spirit leads you into it, or you could fight against it and get out of it, just like it tells you to flee, tell the devil to flee from you if you resist him. So if you resist, fleeing can happen, but you have to resist. If you don't resist, then therefore you are going to be in it. So I don't want to digress too much on that, but just wanted to hit that real quick, because sometimes that becomes a little bit of a stumbling block for some of the Akim in terms of how they bring out that information. But I'm not knocking what they're doing. They're still bringing it out. It is said in the scripture the way it's said, but you also have to make sure your spiritual eyesight is up to speed in terms of understanding that you can't come upon something that's wicked if it wasn't already there, unless you create the wickedness. And the Most High holds and creates everything. He creates evil and he creates good, so he controls it all. So let's understand what we're dealing with, and let's be mature about it in our spiritual walk. Okay, as I said, Egyptian going forward, Egyptian captivity, 1500 BC. Then the Assyrian captivity, which was 720 BC, of course. And then you had the Babylonian captivity that came in at around 586 BC or so. And then, of course, the Greek, the Persian, because the Persians took down, the Persian Mede captivity was 538 BC. You know, the time when Nebuchadnezzar's son, Nebuchadnezzar, was told with the meany, tinkle your phrasing, and the hand were written on the wall by YAHAWAH that told him his kingdom's over and it's done. Okay, well, the Medes and the Persians got that in 538 BC. The Greek captivity, which is pretty much hidden a lot of times, my teeth. The Greek captivity, which is hidden from the scriptures because Ptolemy, that wicked general of Alexander, the Macedonian, decided to do. And also, this was around the time when we had the absconsion, I'll use absconded, our Torah, our Bible, it was some wicked Hebrews that came and brought to light a translation of our book, the Torah, which is problematic to this day, but it does filter through in truth, because YAHAWAH will do that. You can't stop the truth. But when that Septuagint came about through Ptolemy and a couple of wicked Hebrews that through the Maccabees, and you can read about it in the book of Maccabees, went ahead and decided to help, because Yahweh wanted it to happen, translate our book into a Septuagint. Okay, so then you had the Greek captivity during 32 BC. And then, of course, they really jump over that, most of the Bible destruction group, deceptive individuals, and then they bring you 70 AD when our people were destroyed and come out of Rome because of a lie that was placed on us and set against us. Nero thought to burn his own place down, and then at the same time, he was doing it mainly because he didn't want us to recapture that area because we had it already. So, it became a ego issue with his crazy self. And then in turn, what he did was set Rome on fire, and that's not funny for us what happened, and blamed it on the Judah and all of the tribes. And then it came into Jerusalem in 70 AD with the armies of Vespasian, Titus and Vespasian, and of course they slaughtered a lot of us, and the Edomites stood around and helped point out where we went, where we didn't go. Just roughly paraphrasing that for the most part. And now at this point, we are in with the so-called American captivity, which actually started in 1491, or before then, when Cristobal Colon came into this area of the country where the Northern Kingdom, getting away from King OC, and they came over here. And then, of course, short after that, Cristobal Colon and 5 Hebrew interpreters followed. And then, of course, once they got here, They took us into captivity again, the northern kingdom, which is part of the tribe of Reuben, which myself and several other Akim brothers are of, and we went into captivity, Taino Indians and what have you, so-called. So this was, these 7 type captivities were tests. Each one was a prophetic test that we had to go through. And clearly the test was not passed because we ended in captivity each time. If you get what I'm saying here. If you end up in captivity 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, then how are you passing the test in terms of prophecy? Well, you're going through the prophetic process that the Spirit put forth, but it is our test. And the test is to not only go through it, which in essence, if we were to get a grade for each one of these tests, and I can't grade it because it's not my job, YAHAWAH would be the one to grade the test on this. Each captivity we came out, we had a chance to not go into captivity again. And what did we do? We revert back to the same thing Jake always do. Follow other nations, not following the Most High, not loving the Father and loving His truth and His word. And you fail the test and you go into captivity again. But now we're at the final test, okay? Now we're at the final test, and that final test is coming up at this point right now. And so here we are, and I'm going to break out some scriptures. I've got quite a few here. I want to start off with James. James 1, 2, verse 2 and 4. So go with me to James chapter 1, and we're going to read 2 and 4. And it says, 1, 2, and 4. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith works with patience. So the trying is also a test, okay? So that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, right? This is what we're dealing with, right? Knowing this, that the trying of your faith works with patience. But let patience have her perfect way, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing, okay? And of course, just a little further, reading 4 or 5, if any of you lack wisdom, let him that ask of power of YAHAWAH, that he which serve the tabernacle. So basically, I like to start off with that because the trying of our faith is here. Now we're at a point where you have to pass the test. Those that pass the test inevitably may, all Lord willing, may get a ride on the chariot and be saved from the destruction that's coming to this world. Part of this test also is going to encompass an area of concern that I spoke about a long time ago. And let's see, I want to make sure that I go there and get it. I know it's in Revelation. Okay. Shalaki. It's definitely is speaking in terms of, it was under the altar. I know that's what it was during the time. I'm gonna make sure I pull it up too, because I want to make sure I bring that out because that's important. Let's see here. Sure. So I can just, gonna make sure I get this right. So just stay with me. You put in your word search to pull up your stuff that you want, right? to it. Stay with me. All right, hold on. I'm not a fast typer, so forgive me. No. Not. Got it. See what we got here. Okay. All right. Back. Shalaki. All right. I'll get to that in a minute. Just want to make sure I get this part. All right. Going back where we were, Shalaki on the minute I had to take there because I was looking up something. I want to make sure I had the right precept. Okay. The second precept we're going to is still in James. So we're going to go to the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12. And it says, book of James, again, we're still in James, chapter 1, verse 12. It says, blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial. For when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which YAHAWAH has promised to those who love him. So that is like, that's fire, okay? We need to make sure that we understand that is absolute fire. That was James chapter 1 and verse 12. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, yes, you tested, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. So, right, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of power of YAHAWAH, for YAHAWAH cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempted he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. So, you got to be real circumspect and careful in reference to dealing with your own lust, because a lot of times you got a lot of Akim and Aqua who get into situations where they believe that the lust for the things that they want in life are going to be transcended into the new area of the kingdom and the covenant, which that's very problematic in terms of looking at what the Most High is going to do as being a balanced, sovereign, omnipotent, and omnipotent Father in Yahweh Shem El Shai. In the beginning, everything was perfect. Everything's going to go back to being perfect. So in essence of looking at that and understanding that from the Most High's righteous platform, you have to understand that what we have been dealing with in this fallen state, everything in this period of time, this prophetic period of time right now is in a fallen state to a degree. It really is. I mean, it's tainted. It can't transcend in its state right now that it's in over into the new kingdom and the new covenant. When Yahushua shows up, when he comes back, when the Most High sends him forth with the angels and 10,000s and 10,000s of angels talked about in Jude, when he comes through, he's going to take down all kingdoms and destroy anything that's wicked. Anything that's a rudiment and element that's of wickedness is going to be destroyed, which means in an hour, he's going to take out all of everything across the whole earthly plane that is here. Nothing will be against him anymore. In other words, war is no more. Once he shows up, there's no more war. So once he shows up, it's going to be now a realm and a time of peace where peace is going to be in play. And at that point, do we know whether the 144,000 will participate in that hour of warfare? We don't know that. It could be possible he will give his mighty men strength during that time to do things that they have to do, but we don't know who those mighty men are or going to be chosen as. We don't know that. We pray and we say we hope that we're the hopeful elected, that we will get selected to participate. Like I was listening to one of the brothers in Akim talking about, hey, if I'm able to be alive in this present time and witness this and participate, then all praises to the Most High YAHAWAH Shem Yahushua. But we don't know whether our lot is to be here in that present time and participate in that takedown of the world or not. But we know that Yahushua is going, and the angels are going to take down the world. And they're quite capable of doing it because they have enough resources. The Most High is not short on resources. He don't need us to take the world down. He can take the world down without us. But once the world is taken down, it is brought into a peaceful period. You said swords will be made into plowshares. I mean, swords will be made into plowshares, and when they'll be beating the plowshares, no one's going to be going around killing or conquering anyone in a war fashion once Yahushua takes down everything, once he completes everything. So at that point, we're now at the phase of really being into the new covenant. So if we're in that particular time period, everything that's forward is going to be righteous. It's going to be a blessing. It's going to be perfect. It's going to be balanced. It's going to be in line. So anything that's going on here at this time right now in this prophetic process is now changed over to the new process of the covenant and the activities thereof. And we don't know all of it. We have to prophesy in part and we know in part. So we don't really know how it all going to lay out. But we do know it's all going to be perfect and it's all going to be changed. So all the things that you think you want and you think you're going to do and the lust you think you had before, that won't even be playing a part. You won't have those lustful things in your mind. You won't be looking at a woman of any organization, of any other nationality with any kind of lust, because that won't be a part of what your spirit is anymore with the truth and the word written in your spirit. That's just not going to be there. It won't be possible. If you have lust in you and you're looking at something and you want it that doesn't apply to righteousness, you're not going to be able to do that in the new covenant kingdom, because it's not going to be that state of mind that's available. The Most High is not having that. It's not going to let people start this stuff all over again that's in this fallen state and bring it into the new covenant. That's not happening. If you think it is, well, then, you telling the Most High you're going to do some things that you want and not what he wants. But anyway, I'm not going to digress. Next precept we're going to. This is all a test. You're being tested to understand whether or not you can come through prophecy and pass the test to get a chariot ride and to get into salvation and be there for eternity. Will you make it? Will you pass the test? This is the final test that's coming now. Okay. Peter, 1 Peter chapter 4. 1 Peter chapter 4. Go with me to 1 Peter chapter 4. Okay. We're going to go there. We're going to get that next. All right. 1 Peter chapter 4. Okay. And we're going with 12 through 9. 12 through 19. 12 through 19. 1 Peter chapter 4, 12 through 19. Okay. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. But rejoice inasmuch as ye are partakers of Hamashiach's sufferings. So we know we got to go through things that are going to be very close to what he dealt with, as far as, some of the beatings, some of the rejection, some of the torture, some of the things that you're earning your right to be in the kingdom and be amongst the rest of the prophets and the rest of the apostles and the rest of the elders and those that have already got their robes washed in the blood of YAHAWAH Shem Yahushua. So now, are you going to make it? All right. Finishing. Sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. If ye be reproached for the name of Hamashiach, Happy are ye. See that? When we get reproached all the time, happy are ye, and the spirit of glory and of power resisteth, of Yahawah resisteth upon you. On their part, he is evil spoken of, but on your part, he is glorified. So they're going to speak evil of him, but you're going to be glorified. 15, but let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as a evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters. In other words, stay out of stuff that's wicked and going wrong and doing stuff that has nothing to do with your salvation and in the prophetic process you have to go through to pass your test. Stop getting into stuff that's just immature. You don't need to do that. All right, okay. Shalaki. All right, 16. Yet if any man suffer as a Hebrew, as a chosen Hebrew Israelite, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify Yahawah on this behalf. 17, for the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of Yahawah and power, and if it first began at us, what shall the end of them that obey not the gospel of Yahawah? Question. And if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? See, so you can see right now, this is going to be tough, man. I mean, we're talking, you got to buckle down, and this is the last test. And if the righteous barely be saved, think about the rest of these, I don't even know what to call them, 2/3 or maybe less than 2/3, and 1/5 or 1/8, whoever they are. We're trying. We're working hard as we can to try to at least make it as much as we can, Lord willing. And if we can, we barely make it. If we can, we barely make it. So what are they going to do, man? I mean, really? See, their lives are already set. Okay, finishing up. And if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? Wherefore, let them that suffer according to the will of Yahawah commit the keeping of their souls to him in well-doing as unto a faithful creator. So, the Most High, like I said, he's already put in motion his prophecies. And that's why the lesson says what it says. The spirit of prophecy is your test. So you're either going to finish the agreement that you made with Yahawah, Shem Yahushua, in the spirit world with when you were there, and you agreed to within the realm of grace that you're given to be here, because you don't have free will. So that realm of grace that you have, that elasticity of grace, and that you have within that, you have faith. You have your faith within that elasticity of grace. And if you stretch it and keep stretching it, soon you get to a certain point where you can stretch it too far, like a rubber band, and pop, it'll pop, and then your ass is back in the spirit world, answering to Yahawah Shem Yahushua on why you didn't fulfill the mission that you were sent here to fulfill. So you really have just jacked yourself up for the most part, because you didn't fulfill your mission, and you were supposed to, and now you're back in the spirit world. So understanding that was of course my that was 1 Peter chapter 4, 12 through 19. Now next I'm going to stay in 1 Peter, but I want to go to 1 Peter 1 through 7. Okay, chapter 1, and we're going to go chapter 1, verse 7. Chapter 1, verse 7, forgive me. All right. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 7. That the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth through, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay? All right? You got that one? Read it again. So that the testing, the genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold that perishes through, though it is tested by fire, this is tested, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay, so like I said, this is we're all being tested by the Most High Yahawah Shem Yahushua. And you're either going to pass this test or you're not. And you can see by looking at some of the activities of the people and some of the camps and some of the men and some of the people that are in or so-called not in the truth or in the truth, they're not doing very well as far as passing the test is concerned. You have a lot of problems with them, in fact, getting through the testing process. It's not working out real well for them for the most part. Okay, the next precept we're going to is Hebrews chapter 12, 4 through 11. Hebrews chapter 12, 4 through 11. So let's go there next. Hebrews 12, and we're going through 4 through 11. All right. It says here, and this one is very important because a lot of people, did we read 4? Yeah, we did 4. Yeah. Hebrews chapter 12, 4 through 11. And it says, let's read. Ye have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin. Now, this is so very important, okay, because we have a lot of men, Akim and YAHAWAH, that are out here, and they have a lot of boasting. They have a lot of pride. They have a lot of arrogance. It comes off in many different fashions. Sometimes through their reprove, or when they're doing their reproving of others, it kind of leads into a very prideful arrogance in terms of the way they present information. Not everyone, but some. There are some who do a great deal of excellent reproving when it comes to the scriptures, the truth, and helping the brethren, helping their kinsmen, helping the Akim to understand what it may take to pass the test and be accepted by Yahawah Shem Yahushua, and then potentially have a ride on the chariot and get the salvation. Now, the apostles have been bringing out the truth for decades, and all of what they're saying is now coming in the face of the false prophets that you see now. You see that the MOTB and the various types of activities that are being brought forth through different inoculations and things that are being presented, as well as the process of looking at what it is that we're supposed to be doing in order to inherit the kingdom of heaven. These things are now coming to fruition in front of the faces of the individuals who claim to be prophets and claim to be knowledgeable and claim to be in the truth. But at the same time, they would deny what the apostles of Great Millstone has said, and now it's flying in their face. And what are they going to do? They're miserably failing the test in terms of how they're leading the sheep in the congregation. I was looking for, and I was going to look up what we should be feeding sheep, and I was going to try to look it up in a carnal perspective to try to reach some of these people who can't understand the spiritual perspective. Because as I said in the lesson I said before about the shearing, the steering, and the spearing of the sheep of Yahawah Shem Yahushua, a sheep doesn't have protection. You think about all the animals in the animal kingdom that the Most High created. What does the sheep have as protection other than a ram? Well, now a full-grown ram has those ram horns that he could hit you and take you out. But when it comes down to other animals that have fangs and claws and other areas, which you can liken unto some of the heathens of the world and some of the wicked, Esau, Edom, and what have you, they were born with the ability to have a form of protection or a form of something that could attack, a form of or a measure of being able to attack and protect themselves. But sheep don't have it. Now, we are the sheep, and what protection do we have? And so we don't perform very well in terms of the makeup of how we are in terms of just without Yahawah Hashem Yahawashi. We can't do it. We can't cut it because the sheep can't protect itself. The sheep is going to get eaten. The sheep is going to get destroyed. And that's just the way that the situation is laid out. So the only protection we have is our shepherd, which is Yahawashi. So, and if you reject him, you're rejecting the Father, which means you reject all your protection, which means at this point you will fail the test. You can't pass it without them. In other words, it's an open book test. Here's the book. Yeah. It's an open book. How easy can that be? It can't be real hard. Anytime you take an open book test, if you're still failing, look, that means the food that you're eating or the food that is in this book, which is the manna, which is the food, think about it. Think about it. You are not eating the right food. And if a sheep eats the wrong food, you won't have any strength as a sheep, let alone have any strength becoming a ram. You're not going to be able to even have a chance of survival. So if you're not eating this food, and that's why the brothers always say you got to eat the whole roll. If you're not eating this, then you're not having a diet of what you're supposed to have in terms of having enough health and enough wealth within your raw condition, the spiritual perspective you're laid out to be in to pass the test. If you don't have the nourishment of this food, of this book, this Bible, you don't have it, you don't have nourishment. You don't have food, you can't eat, you're not eating right, and you're not going to be healthy enough, even as a sheep, to even pass your test. Not to digress, let's move. Let's read some more of what I've had at in Hebrews 12. I want to go a little further. Okay, and it said, "You have not resisted the shedding of blood, and have you forgotten the exhortation that addresses you as sons? My son, do not regard lightly the discipline of the Lord, nor be weary when reproved by him." See, then the prophets be reproving people, but you can't be weary of that. You're going to have to bounce out of that, get out, correct yourself, and move on. I got reproved. I accepted what I had to deal with, and I dealt with it, and now I'm moving on and learning and continue. I'm not going to stay in the same state, okay? All right. Shalaki, for the Lord disciplines the one he loves and chastises every son whom he receives. It is for discipline that you have to endure. That's passing the test. Yahawah is treating you as sons. For what son is there whom his father does not discipline? Question. If you are left without discipline, in which all have participated, then you are illegitimate children and not sons. So you illegitimate. You're not even for the Most High. So he can't even accept you in that manner. Okay, that was 5. Okay, we need to get through my scriptures, Shalaki. But we're rolling. All right, we're going now Hebrews chapter 11, verse 17. So go to 11:17. I'm trying to get through this pretty quickly because it's a good lesson, but it's got some meat to it. All right, Hebrews 11, 17 through 19. All right, it says here, by faith, Abraham, he was tested, offered up Isaac, and he who had received the promises was in the act of offering up his only son, of whom he was said, of whom it was said, through Isaac shall your offspring be named. He considered that Yahawah was able to even to raise him from the dead, from which, figuratively speaking, he did receive him back. So basically, he did get received from the grave in terms of that particular portion. He passed that part of the test. How many people would really pass a test of that nature? And we're coming upon that time where sacrifice is coming, and it may be our children, it may be family members, where we have to actually make a decision to sacrifice ourselves, our children, and anyone else. This is where it comes. This is the big altar here in this area where we are, in this valley of the shadow of death. This is the altar, and we're either going to pass the test or not. This is where we're going. Okay, so that brought me to Hebrews about Abraham, but I also wanted to I wanted to hit 7, which talked about Genesis, which is what happened with Abraham. Genesis chapter 22, Genesis 22, 1 through 24. I don't know if I'll read all of it, but I'm going to read most of it here. After these things, Yahweh tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and he said, here I am. And he said, take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. So Abraham rose, so he did rise up, right? He rose, up early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took 2 of his young men with him and his son Isaac, and he cut the wood for the burnt offering and arose and went to the place of which Yahweh had told him. On the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw a place from afar. Then Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey, and I and the boy will go over there and worship and come again unto you. So in other words, he went over there to do what I read in Hebrews about the fact that in 11, that he was going to make the sacrifice at that time. And this is what was going to happen. And so we got sacrifices coming for us as well. So we got to get ready for that because it's coming soon. All right. Next, I want to go to Philippians chapter 4, 6, and 7. Philippians chapter 4, 6, and 7. And it reads, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to Yahweh, and the peace of power, which suppresses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Hamashiach Yahushua. So you want to stay close to the Most High, as close as possible, so that you can pass the test. Psalms chapter 66 and verse 10. Okay, and we're going to get another one as well, a precept that follows to that. Psalms 66 verse 10. For you, O power, O Yahweh, have tested us. You have tried us as silver. Silver is tried. Okay, and the precept that I followed up with that was in Isaiah chapter 48 and verse 48:10. It says, behold, I have refined you, but not as silver. I have tried you in the furnace of affliction. So the Most High is taking us through the prophetic process that he has set up that's going through. And in order for us to get through that perfection, we will be tried. And will you pass the test? This is what's important. Okay, the next precept I want to get to is, Shalaki. Where is it? Okay. Yeah, Job. I'm going to go to Job chapter 23 and verse 10. And it says here, but he knows the way that I take. When he has tried me, I shall come out as gold. Let me read that again. That's fire. Job chapter 23:10. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tried me, I shall come out as gold. That's fire. I love that. That is so good. So obviously Yahweh is refining us as silver and gold. Some of the silver may be the elect. Some of the gold may be the very elect in terms of that translation to give you that meaning. So you can't look past that in terms of your testing process. Okay, next we're going to go to the book of John, and we're going to read John chapter 16 and verse 13. It says here, when the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all truth. For he will not speak of his own authority, but whatever he hears, he will speak, and he will declare to you the things that are to come. So clearly, when Yahweh sends Yoah HaKadosh, truth will be revealed. That's why I've always said that the accuracy that the apostles are bringing is total accuracy to what has been offered through the Ruach HaKodesh and Holy Spirit at this time. And is more things being revealed through prophecy as we go through, because as I said before, that is the lesson in itself speaks about the fact that the spirit of prophecy is your test. And they are passing the test because what they're speaking is, you see it happening in front of your face. What these other people in camps are speaking, you don't see it happening. They're not bringing out prophecy. They're not talking about they're not talking about the MOTB. They're not talking about the stab and jab. They're not talking about, all of what's coming. In fact, even in the book, it says under the souls that are under the altar, roughly paraphrasing, they're crying out, "Oh Lord, Lord, when will you avenge our avenge our righteousness through, just roughly paraphrasing, through the earth. You know, and of course, Yahawah said, and I'll try to get that scripture for you too, that once your brethren, your kinsmen, the saints are slain as you were, then at that time will the end come. So that's part of the end time process of the MOTV and everything else that's going on. That's a sequence in the process. The end can't come until the saints and those set aside ones, the elect that were chosen, like the brothers that were slain before, they have to pay. They will pay in many ways. Some will be martyred, or in some way they have to be slain in a way, whether they're slain in the word, slain in the truth, slain in the way that they're treated in the world, or they're ridiculed, or they're shown to be they try to show them as being illegitimate, or like I said in the scripture, or shown to be false. There has to be a slaying of the elect at the end, along with the rest of the process that will happen in terms of what will physically be put in you and be physically put on you. And at that point, we have the end. So that's all encompassing in that realm. But you have to know that in the spirit, and the spirit has to bring that to you in order for you to realize that. Okay, so that's very important. That's why we brought up that in John chapter 16:13. Okay. Next, we're going to go to 1 Peter. We're going to go back to 1 Peter. All right, and we're going to 1 Peter. Got it. And we're going to 1 Peter chapter 1, 10 to 12. Concerning this salvation, the prophets who prophesied about the grace that was to be yours searched and inquired carefully. See, this is what the apostles been doing. They searched and inquired carefully, okay? In inquiring what person or time the spirit of Hamashiach in them was indicating when he predicted the sufferings of Hamashiach and the subsequent glories. So they knew that the things that were spoken about and said prior, as far as the truth is concerned, had not been relayed in the way that in the accuracy, in the way that it was supposed to be. Because these were not men who were spiritual who were bringing this out. These were people who absconded our book, got our information, twisted it, and tried to write themselves into the prophecies and write themselves into the process. It's not part of them. They're not part of this. So therefore, there's no need to debate them. There's no need to spend any time debating. You cannot debate the truth. That's just not possible. Okay? All right, moving forward. Okay, it was revealed to them that they were serving not themselves, but you. See, they weren't serving themselves, they're serving the elect. In the things that they have now been announced to you through those who preach the good news to you by the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, sent from heaven, things into which angels long to look. Even the angels wanted to be able to participate in this period in time and what was going on. So you can see how important that is in terms of passing that test. Okay, now we're going to go to John chapter 14, verse 6. John 14, 6. And Yahawashi said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me, by me. He's the way, he's the truth, and the life. You can't come to the Father except by Yahawashi, Hamashiach. Okay? We're getting close to my time, my hour to close this out, so just bear with me. The next one, the next precept I'm going to is Psalms chapter 26, and that's verse 2. Prove me, O Yahawah, prove me, O Lord, and try me. Test my heart and my mind. This is what we're asking. This is what we're dealing with at this point in time, right now, as we go through this final captivity in this North American area. And what's going on. We are being proved. You're asking for the Most High to prove. That's why you're out here doing the work. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Okay. The next precept is Romans chapter 8 and verse 28. And it says, and we know that for those who love Yahawah, love Yahawah, all things work together for good for those who are called according to his purpose. So you got to be called. You can't choose him. He chooses you, and you have to be called for his purpose. And that's what this says in general. Okay. Let's see. We're going about ready to wrap this up here. So in essence, what we're talking about is, you want to pass your test, and you're sent here to pass the test. Will you pass the test is the important thing. Right at this time now, it's very problematic in terms of what you see as far as Israel's concerned. Those who consider or think themselves to be the elect. From observation, it doesn't seem to be panning out. Those who are, it's pretty clear, and you can see the light shines through them and from them. There's only few that the light shines through. Whatever camp you're in, whatever organization you're part of, we can see the light. And the light is a beacon to direction to bring us towards YAHAWAH and through YAHWAH Shem Yahushua. If you don't offer a beacon of light for anyone to come through and to recognize and to gravitate and move towards, then therefore you are not bringing the truth. And if you're not bringing the truth, then you're not passing the test. So, as I said, the spirit of prophecy is your test. And you will pass that test if you get a chance to get accepted by the Most High YAHWAH Shem Yahushua. And that's pretty much the way this lesson is. I pray that YAHWAH Shem Yahushua will open your mind and your spirit and maturity to understand what was given. I don't do flashy tricks or any kind of thing that would be in an entertainment fashion. I'm here to read the truth and the word to you. If you want entertainment, you have to go find someone else or some other organization to listen to, because it's not going to come from me. It's not coming from here. I'm not doing that. That's not the role. It's not my lot. That's not where I'm supposed to be. So I just want to say all praise to YAHWAH Shem Yahushua, Bashim Kakadash. And this next time the Lord brings another lesson, I'll bring it out. If not, I pray that we already get a chariot ride and we're out of here. That would be the next thing I'm.
Kolo Yahawah, Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Kakadash, Water Yahawah, Water Yahawah, Bashim Yahushua, Shalaki Yahawah. For my sins as I cry, Kolo Yahawah, Vashim Yahushua.